Thunder crackled across San Francisco's skyline as Sarah Chen stared through the rain-streaked windows of her autonomous vehicle. The quarterly earnings report clutched in her hand showed Chentech's stock had dropped 15%. $30 billion in market value, gone in a day. The board meeting in 20 minutes could determine whether she remained CEO of the company she built from nothing. The car's navigation system flashed red, indicating another flooded street ahead. Rerouting, the AI announced in its measured tone. Sarah fought the urge to scream. She didn't have time for detours. That's when she saw it. A flash of blue light in an abandoned construction site, visible through sheets of rain. The light pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, definitely not construction equipment or emergency vehicles. Sarah pressed her face against the window, squinting through the downpour. "Stop the car," she commanded. The AI began its safety protocol response, but Sarah overrode it with her executive code. The vehicle pulled to the curb. She shouldn't investigate. The board meeting could save or destroy everything she'd worked for. But something about that light seemed to call to her. Sarah grabbed her quantum umbrella, a Chentech prototype that repelled water using electromagnetic fields, and stepped into the storm. The construction site was a skeletal framework of steel beams and concrete foundations, abandoned when the real estate market crashed 6 months ago. The blue light pulsed from deep within the structure, casting strange shadows through the rain. As Sarah approached, she heard something that made her blood run cold. Children crying. She rounded a corner and froze. Hovering 3 feet off the ground was a crystalline being, its translucent body refracting the blue light from within. Around it, huddled in a makeshift shelter of shimmering energy, were 5 children, none older than 6 or 7. The alien, there was no other word for it, turned toward her. Its crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that somehow conveyed both tension and curiosity. Sarah realized she was holding her breath. "You should not be here," the alien spoke, its voice like wind through crystal chimes. "This is not safe." Sarah's mind raced. First contact with an alien species, happening in a construction site during the worst storm of the year. But those children, are they in danger? She asked, taking a step forward. The alien's form pulsed brighter. They are already in danger. Their genetic patterns were flagged for harvesting. I could not allow it. Harvesting. Sarah felt sick. What do you mean? Others come. They see human children as resources. These little ones have specific genetic markers. The alien's light dimmed slightly. I was once a guardian of young ones on my world. I cannot watch another species lose their children. Sarah's phone buzzed. The board meeting would start in 10 minutes. She could see the headlines now. Chentech CEO missing during critical vote. Her career, her company, everything she'd built. It could all end today. But as she looked at the children, huddled together under the alien's protective field, something inside her shifted. What do you need? She heard herself asking. The alien's crystalline form sparkled, despite the gloom. Shelter. Safety. The harvesters have technological advantages. I can protect them, but not forever. Not alone. Sarah thought of Chentech's secure research facility, designed to withstand natural disasters and industrial espionage. The board would think she'd lost her mind. But looking at those children, and this alien who had chosen to protect them, she realized some choices transcended business decisions. I have a place, she said, pulling out her phone to cancel the board meeting. But you'll have to trust me. The alien's form shimmered with what seemed like relief. Trust is rare in these times, but these little ones deserve a chance. As Sarah began coordinating the evacuation, she noticed something extraordinary. The alien's protective field wasn't just keeping the rain out. It was adapting to each child's needs. One small girl shivered, and the field around her warmed. A boy coughed, and the air around him purified. Your technology, Sarah said, watching the field adjust. It's incredible. It was designed to nurture, not destroy. The alien responded. unlike those who come to harvest. Sarah's phone buzzed again. Messages from the board, her executive team, shareholders. She turned it off. We'll need to move quickly and quietly. I'm Sarah Chen, by the way. The alien's form crystallized into a more defined shape, almost humanoid. In your language, I would be called Haven. It is appropriate. As they began moving the children toward her car, Sarah realized her life would never be the same. She had just sided with an alien refugee against unknown harvesters, thrown her company's resources behind protecting 5 children with special genetic markers, and missed the most important board meeting of her career. And somehow, watching Haven gentle guide the children through the rain, she knew it was the best decision she'd ever made. The storm raged on, but within Haven's protective field, the children began to smile. Sarah Chen, who had spent her life building walls around herself as she climbed the corporate ladder, felt those walls crumbling. Sometimes the most important choices weren't choices at all. They were moments of clarity when your heart recognized what truly mattered. The real storm, she suspected, was just beginning. But for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid of losing control. She was ready to fight for something bigger than quarterly earnings or stock prices. She was ready to fight for the future, not just of her company, but of humanity itself. The underground levels of Chentech's research facility were designed to withstand nuclear war. As Sarah led Haven and the children through biometric security gates, she wondered if they would be enough to stop whatever was hunting them. My board meeting starts in 5 minutes, Sarah said, guiding them into a secure lab complex. I can't avoid it any longer, but you'll be safe here. The walls are quantum shielded. Haven's crystalline form dimmed slightly. They will detect the children's genetic signatures. Not through these walls, Sarah assured them, then paused. Wait, they can track human DNA from orbit. The harvesters have cataloged many species. Haven's form shifted, creating a holographic display that filled the air. Star systems appeared, countless worlds connected by lines of light and shadow. My people were among the first they found. We thought they came as friends. Sarah watched as one crystalline world in the display shattered, its fragments scattering across space. The children, now settled on comfortable emergency cots, looked up in wonder at the stellar cartography. They took our young ones first, Haven continued. Those with special genetic markers. We didn't understand until too late. They were building something. An army of hybrid soldiers adapted to fight across 1,000 worlds. Sarah's tablet chimed again. The board was waiting, but the implications of Haven's words froze her in place. And now, they found Earth. Earth is unique. Haven's form restructured, becoming more angular, almost agitated. Human genetic diversity is exceptional, adaptable. The markers these children carry, they are like keys to unlock new possibilities. A small girl, no more than 5, approached Haven. Her dark curls bounced as she reached up toward the alien's crystalline form. Haven's light softened, wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. Dr. Chen, her eye assistant's voice interrupted. The board is requesting emergency protocols to override your access. They're concerned about unauthorized use of the secure facility. Sarah straightened her jacket. Haven, keep the children safe. I need to handle this. They will not understand. Haven's musical voice carried a warning. No, Sarah agreed, but they don't need to understand. They just need to stay out of our way. The boardroom was a battlefield of hostile stares and barely contained fury. Sarah faced them through the quantum link display, her expression carefully neutral. You've lost your mind. Marcus Thane, her chief investor, spat. Aliens? Genetic harvesting. Do you hear yourself? I've sent you the preliminary scans, Sarah replied calmly. Haven's crystalline structure shouldn't be possible according to Earth physics. Their protective field technology alone could revolutionize everything from medicine to space travel. If any of this is real, another board member interrupted, we should be contacting the government, not hiding aliens in our basement. Sarah leaned forward. The government. Which one? Who do we trust with technology that could either save or enslave humanity? With children whose genetic code might determine the future of multiple species. That's not our decision to make. No, Sarah agreed. It's mine. As CEO and majority shareholder, I am invoking Article 7 of our charter. In cases of existential risk to the company, I assume emergency powers for 30 days. The boardroom erupted in chaos. Sarah cut the connection. Her hands were shaking as she made her way back to the secure lab. She had just bet everything, her company, her reputation, possibly her freedom, on an alien refugee and 5 children. The rational part of her mind screamed that she was making a mistake. But when she entered the lab, she found Haven teaching the children about the stars. Their protective field had transformed into a miniature galaxy, with worlds and civilizations dancing through the air. The children's laughter echoed off the sterile walls, bringing life to the cold space. They are quick to learn, Haven observed as Sarah approached. Their minds are beautiful. Sarah watched as a little boy reached out to touch a holographic star, his eyes wide with wonder. How long do we have before the harvesters arrive? Haven's form rippled with concern. They are already here, watching, waiting. They seed worlds with observers first, gathering data, identifying targets. Like you? Sarah asked quietly. Haven's light flickered, a crystalline equivalent of a sad smile. I was not always a protector. Before I chose to rebel, I was one of them. That is how I know their methods, their weaknesses. The alien's form dimmed. That is how I know what they will do to these children if they find them. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She looked at her tablet, where notifications were piling up, from the board, from government agencies, from journalists who had somehow caught wind of something unusual at Chentech. Then we need to move faster than them, she said, her mind already racing with plans. Haven, I need you to tell me everything. Every technology, every tactic, every weakness. Chentech has resources, but more importantly, we have something they don't. What is that? Haven asked. Sarah watched as one of the children, the little girl with bouncing curls, fell asleep under Haven's protective field. The alien's light automatically adjusted, becoming a soft, comforting glow. We have something worth protecting, Sarah answered. And that makes us more dangerous than any weapon they could create. The Chentech lab hummed with activity as Sarah analyzed the data streaming across her quantum displays. 3 days had passed since she'd found Haven and the children. 3 days of barely sleeping, of fending off government inquiries, of watching her company's stock price plummet while she worked to decode the messages Haven had intercepted from the harvesters. There, Haven's crystalline form pulsed with urgency, highlighting a pattern in the data stream. That sequence repeats. Sarah leaned closer, her eyes burning from exhaustion. The code was unlike anything she'd seen. Part mathematical equation, part genetic sequence, part something else entirely. But after 72 hours of continuous analysis, patterns were emerging. It's not just coordinates, she muttered, fingers flying across the holographic interface. They're mapping genetic patterns across space and time. Every civilization they've harvested, every genetic marker they've collected. It's all building toward something. A soft whimper drew her attention. Lily, the youngest of the children, was having another nightmare. Haven's protective field immediately shifted, surrounding the little girl with soothing colors and gentle vibrations. The other children slept peacefully in their makeshift beds, surrounded by the alien's constant care. The patterns are familiar, Haven said, their crystalline form dimming with what Sarah had learned to recognize as concern. They matched the final transmissions from my world, just before. A sudden alert cut through the lab's quiet. Sarah's security AI flashed red warnings across every screen. Multiple vehicles approaching, it reported. Government markings. Military escort. Sarah's heart raced. How did they find us? The facility is shielded. Not from them. Haven's form shifted, becoming more angular, defensive. The harvesters have agents everywhere, human collaborators who don't understand what they're really serving. The children stirred, sensing the tension. Sarah watched as Haven's protective field strengthened, becoming more opaque. "How long have you known?" she asked quietly. "That humans were already compromised, since before I found the children." Haven's voice carried centuries of weariness. "The harvesters don't just take. They corrupt. They offer power, technology, knowledge. But every gift has a price." Sarah's tablets lit up with urgent messages. Her board had called an emergency session. Government agencies were demanding immediate access to Chentech's facilities. And through it all, the Harvester's code continued to stream across her screens, telling a story she was only beginning to understand. The children, she realized, looking at the genetic data with new eyes. They're not just special because of their genetic markers. They're special because they're resistant to the Harvester's influence. Haven's form brightened slightly. "Yes, among all the species we've encountered, only certain humans carry this trait, a natural immunity to the Harvester's most powerful weapon, their ability to corrupt minds and bend wills." The security alerts became more urgent. Heavy vehicles were taking up positions around the facility. Sarah could hear helicopters approaching. "We need to get them out," she said, already moving to wake the children. But Haven remained still, their crystalline form pulsing with a strange rhythm. "Sarah," the alien's voice was gentler than she'd ever heard it. "Look at the final sequence. Really look." She turned back to the screens, forcing herself to focus despite the growing chaos outside. The code shifted before her eyes, revealing a pattern so beautiful and terrible it took her breath away. "They're not building an army," she whispered. "They're building a new universe." Haven's form rippled with approval. "Every genetic marker they collect, every species they harvest, all of it feeds into their grand design. They believe they can create a perfect reality, one without chaos, without free will, without love." Sarah finished, watching as Haven's protective field adjusted automatically to comfort a stirring child. "Without the mess and beauty of real life." The facility's outer doors began to seal automatically as unknown forces tried to breach them. Sarah's quantum computers were already calculating how long their defenses would hold. "The children's immunity isn't just resistance to control," Sarah continued, the pieces finally falling into place. "It's the ability to choose, to feel, to love freely. That's what the harvesters can't replicate, can't control. And that," Haven's voice carried a note of triumph, "is what terrifies them." A new alert flashed across Sarah's screens. Someone was trying to hack Chentech's quantum mainframe. But as she watched the attack unfold, she noticed something odd about the code they were using. "Haven," she called, highlighting the intrusion attempt. "These patterns." The alien moved closer, their crystalline form casting rainbow refractions across the data. "Yes, they're desperate now. They're showing their hand." Sarah's fingers flew across the interface, tracing the attack back to its source. What she found made her gasp. The intrusion wasn't coming from the government forces outside. It wasn't even coming from Earth. "There are 7 of them," she breathed, watching as her systems mapped the signals. 7 harvester ships, hiding in the shadow of the moon. Haven's form pulsed with grim satisfaction. "Now you understand why these children must be protected at any cost. They are not just the future of humanity. They are the key to saving every free species in the galaxy." The facility shook as the first explosions hit their outer defenses. Sarah looked at the sleeping children, at Haven's unwavering protection, at the code that revealed both the harvester's greatest plan and their greatest fear. She straightened her shoulders, a plan already forming in her mind. "Then let's show them what humanity does when backed into a corner." The real fight was about to begin, and Sarah Chin, CEO, innovator, and now guardian of humanity's future, was ready for war. "You're not the only one, are you?" Sarah asked Haven as they hurried through Chentech's emergency tunnels. The children followed closely, their small faces brave despite the distant sounds of fighting above. There are others like you, protecting more children. Haven's crystalline form shifted, creating a brief holographic map of Earth. Hundreds of points of light pulsed across its surface. We call ourselves the Shattered, those who broke away from the Harvester's control. Each of us found our way to children with the immunity. The tunnel ahead split into 3 paths. Sarah checked her quantum tablet, which showed hostile forces converging on their position from above. They had maybe 20 minutes before their pursuers breached the facility's inner defenses. Mira, Sarah called to her AI assistant, initiate Protocol Omega. Wipe everything except the core dataset we encrypted. Acknowledged, the AI responded. But Dr. Chen, you should know. I've detected unusual patterns in global communications. The Harvester's influence is spreading faster than predicted. Sarah helped the youngest child, Lily, over a fallen maintenance panel. Show me. The air filled with holographic news feeds, global leaders making strange declarations, military units moving without authorization, financial markets behaving erratically. It was subtle, but to Sarah's trained eye, it was clear. Humanity was being nudged toward chaos. They're preparing the ground. Haven's voice carried a deep sadness, creating confusion, breaking down social structures. It makes the harvesting easier. A small hand tugged at Sarah's sleeve. It was Marcus, the oldest of the children at 7. The bad people, he said quietly. They're in people's heads, aren't they? Like the nightmares. Sarah exchanged a look with Haven. The alien's form pulsed with confirmation. The children can sense it, Haven explained. Their immunity makes them aware of the Harvester's influence. They reached a heavy security door, the entrance to Chentech's most secret facility. Sarah placed her hand on the biometric scanner, then spoke a code phrase. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a sight that made even Haven's crystalline form pulse with surprise. The vast underground chamber was filled with advanced technology, some clearly of Earth origin, some decidedly not. I've been preparing for something like this, Sarah admitted, leading them inside. Not aliens specifically, but I knew humanity would face an existential threat someday. I just didn't know it would come so soon. Haven moved to examine a particular device, a quantum communication array unlike anything on Earth. This technology, it's similar to yours? Sarah managed a small smile. 3 years ago, we found fragments of crystalline technology in the Antarctic ice. I kept it quiet, studied it. I thought it might be evidence of ancient alien visitors, but now, she looked meaningfully at Haven. Others of the Shattered, Haven confirmed. They've been coming to Earth for longer than you know, leaving behind tools we hoped humanity would find when the time came. Sarah activated the quantum array. The chamber filled with holographic data, a vast network of hidden communications spanning the globe. Hundreds of locations lit up, each showing the same pattern, a crystalline protector guarding children with the immunity. All this time, Sarah breathed, there's been an entire resistance movement right under our noses. Haven's form brightened. We could not risk revealing ourselves too soon. The Harvesters have agents everywhere. But now, a massive explosion rocked the facility. Dust fell from the ceiling as the children huddled closer to Haven's protective field. They're through the outer defenses, Mira reported. 14 minutes until facility breach. Sarah's mind raced. The hidden network showed her something else. Patterns in the Harvester's attack. They weren't just after her group. All across the globe, similar assaults were being launched against other protected children. It's a coordinated strike, she realized. They're moving now because they're afraid, Haven finished. The children are growing stronger. Their immunity is spreading to others. Natural human evolution is creating more like them every day. Sarah watched as Marcus comforted Lily, the younger girl's fear visibly easing at his touch. All the children seemed to draw strength from each other, their natural empathy creating something that made Haven's protective field glow brighter. That's it, Sarah whispered. It's not just genetic immunity. It's emotional intelligence, human connection, love. She turned to Haven. That's what really threatens them, isn't it? Not just resistance to their control, but our capacity to strengthen each other through genuine bonds. Haven's form created a complex pattern that Sarah somehow understood as joy. Now you see why we chose to protect your species. Humanity's greatest weakness, your messy, chaotic emotions, is actually your greatest strength. Another explosion, closer this time. Sarah made a decision. Mira, send the signal. Activate all dormant protocols. She turned to Haven. 3 years studying your technology taught us a lot. Every Chintech satellite, every quantum server, every piece of our global network, they all have hidden capabilities waiting for this moment. Haven's form pulsed with surprise. You built a defense system. No, Sarah smiled, watching as her command spread through the hidden network, connecting with other points of resistance around the world. I built a connection system. The harvesters want to isolate us, break our bonds. So let's show them what happens when humanity comes together. The quantum array hummed with power as, across the globe, thousands of hidden networks activated at once. The children gasped as the chamber filled with light, showing them a vision of humanity's true strength. Not in weapons or technology, but in the unbreakable bonds between protectors and protected, between those who chose love over control. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and it would be fought not just with advanced technology, but with humanity's most powerful force, its heart. The world was ending, or perhaps it was being reborn. Sarah couldn't tell which as she watched the quantum array's display of the global conflict. The harvesters had finally revealed themselves. 7 massive ships descending from lunar orbit, their presence impossible to hide any longer. They're beautiful, Lily whispered, watching the crystalline vessels that looked so much like Haven's form. But they're so cold. Haven's protective field pulsed with approval at the child's insight. They sacrificed warmth for perfection long ago. That was their first mistake. Sarah's global network was alive with activity. All across Earth, the hidden children and their crystalline protectors were linking together, creating something unprecedented. A web of human emotion and alien technology, each strengthening the other. More ships detecting, Mira announced. 17 additional harvester vessels approaching from the Kuiper Belt. But Sarah wasn't worried. She watched as Marcus took Lily's hand, then reached for the other children. One by one, they formed a circle. Haven's protective field responded, growing stronger, warmer, more vibrant with each connection made. They don't understand, Sarah said softly. Every attempt they make to break us only makes these bonds stronger. The facility shook as the first harvester weapons struck Earth's atmosphere. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Beams of pure crystalline energy that could rewrite matter itself. Cities around the globe reported strange phenomena. People walking in perfect unison, their eyes glazed, their humanity being slowly stripped away. But everywhere the harvesters struck, points of resistance flared brighter. The hidden networks of protected children acted as anchors, their natural immunity spreading through human connection. Parents refused to abandon their children. Friends stood by each other. Communities came together, their emotional bonds proving stronger than alien control. Sarah, Haven's voice carried urgent harmony. They're preparing their final protocol, the same one they used on my world. The quantum array showed it clearly. The harvester ships were arranging themselves in a precise pattern around Earth. Their crystalline forms began to resonate at frequencies that made Sarah's teeth ache. They're trying to force evolutionary acceleration, Haven explained, to push your entire species past the point of emotional development, to make you like them. Sarah looked at the children, still holding hands, still drawing strength from each other. Then she smiled. Let them try. She pressed her hand to the quantum array's control panel. Across the planet, every piece of technology that Sarah had prepared, every hidden network, every crystalline fragment left behind by the shattered. They all activated at once. But they didn't attack the harvesters. Instead, they began to amplify something else entirely: human connection. Every story ever told, every song ever sung, every moment of love, loss, joy, and pain. The full spectrum of human emotion began to pulse through the network. The children in the facility gasped as they felt it, their natural immunity expanding, strengthening, spreading through the quantum field to touch every human heart. The harvester ships faltered. Their perfect crystalline forms began to show fractures as they encountered something their technology couldn't process: the raw, unfiltered power of human emotional intelligence. Their mistake, Haven's voice rang with triumph, was thinking that perfection meant elimination of chaos. They never understood that true perfection lies in the harmony of opposite forces. Sarah watched in awe as the children's circle began to glow. Their simple act of connection, multiplied through the global network, was creating a feedback loop that the harvesters couldn't break. Around the world, other groups of protected children were doing the same. The first harvester ship shattered, its crystalline form unable to maintain coherence in the face of such emotional resonance. Then another fell, and another. Their perfect pattern broke apart as they encountered something their evolutionary calculations had never accounted for: the strength of imperfection, the power of choice, the unstoppable force of love freely given. "They're retreating," Mira announced. The remaining harvester ships were pulling back, their forms destabilized, their control over Earth's population breaking down. Haven's crystalline form pulsed with joy. "You did it. Humanity did what my people could not. You proved that true strength lies not in eliminating emotion, but in embracing it fully." Sarah watched as the children broke their circle, laughing and hugging each other. All across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. The harvester's influence was fading, leaving behind a humanity that was changed, but not in the way they had intended. People were awakening to their connections, to their capacity for empathy and love. "What happens now?" Sarah asked Haven, watching as the quantum network showed the harvesters retreating beyond Saturn's orbit. Haven's form created a pattern that somehow conveyed both hope and determination. "Now we rebuild. The shattered will no longer hide. There are more harvester worlds out there, more species in need of awakening, and humanity has proven itself to be not just worthy of protection, but capable of leading the way." Sarah looked at the children, who had taught her more about strength in a few days than she'd learned in a lifetime of business success. "We'll need to prepare. They'll be back." "Yes," Haven agreed, "but next time, they'll find a humanity that's not just immune to their influence, but actively resistant to it. Every connection you forge, every bond you strengthen, makes their task more impossible." Outside the facility, the sun was rising on a changed world. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger, not through military might or technological superiority, but through the very qualities the harvesters had sought to eliminate. "I finally understand," Sarah said, watching as Haven's protective field gently embraced all of them. "The real evolution they feared wasn't genetic. It was this: our capacity to grow through connection, to become stronger through love." The children gathered around them, their immunity now a gift they could share with others. The quantum network hummed with the potential of a humanity awakened to its true strength. And somewhere in the depths of space, the harvesters retreated, carrying with them a lesson that would shake their perfect universe. True perfection isn't found in the absence of chaos, but in the courage to love despite it. Humanity had proven that, and now nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same.